Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains May 15th through the 28th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm gonna give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Welcome back to Bit of an Animal, the rugby show here on Global Gain Lines. I am joined this evening by the returning Thembi Nkosi, who I found out moments ago, like me, supports False Hope FC, aka Manchester United. Although, Thembi Nkosi, we are doing quite well this season since we changed managers.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't want to talk bad about Arsenal because the sister is probably watching, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut when it comes to that. But hey, maybe Carrick will take us somewhere.
Yeah, shout out to Sibusiso, who couldn't also make it this evening. Yeah, his Arsenal team won the league after 22 years. I think the last time they won it might have been the Invincible season. And shout out to Dane as well. Then, Nkosi, enough about the football. This is a rugby podcast. The big news that broke um, by the Rapport Afrikaans newspaper, and then came to our attention on numerous online publications last night. Initially reported yesterday as a speculation and then confirmed this morning. Cheslin Kolbe returns to not only South Africa, but to Stormers Western Province.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how I feel about that. So here's I would say, my two train of thoughts. One is, does the Stormers really need Cheslin Kolbe? Like, is he not at that part of his career where he should be just, enjoying his money and spending time? Because I feel like right now we're bringing him back and we're not even gonna use him for you're not even gonna use him for like day-to-day matches. You just really just want him to just like kind of be like the shining trophy, like everybody. Because I don't see him playing every match of every game, and I don't want him to play every match of every game. I feel like he's done his part. I think right now, um, so this is how I'm gonna put it. I think Colby belongs to the Super Rugby era. He killed that Super Rugby era. That was his bread and butter. Now the URC is for more like your Sashas. I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed there. I'm just saying that we're bringing him from a league that is so relaxed to a league that is fast forward and like it's how can I say it's much tougher. And I feel like the man needs to relax and go enjoy himself. Let's let him go and enjoy money. Is Cape Town going to be paying him the same money he's going to be getting in Japan? Is he also being like a Pollard situation where he's getting a pay cut to come back to South Africa? I'm not saying they shouldn't come back, but I'm just saying that maybe that time has passed and we should be more focused on like the new generation. We keep have kids that are popping up every 2 minutes. Like I think Bryce said it is like for Chelsea and Kobe's price, we can probably get like three upcoming Chelsea and Kobe's in the row. So yeah, that's just how I feel. I'm not saying that he shouldn't come back. I would actually like to see him back, but I'm just saying, guys, these old people were putting a lot of work into them. Let them go retire. They don't
I
need to be
agree.
in the limelight every day.
I agree that it's nuanced. I anticipated that he would return to the Stormers at some stage of his career. He's now 32. And there's a lot to unpack. I'm somewhat surprised that he returns now the season prior to the World Cup, because as we know, um, playing in Japan is a lot easier on one's body. So I thought that he would play out one additional season in Japan. Also, interesting reports. I read so many articles about this during the course of today. I don't know exactly if it was which online publication it was, but one paragraph stated that Cheslin Kolbe had in fact signed a contract extension with the Japanese team he is a part of. Um, but then he was able to get out of the contract through the help of the Stormers and SA Rugby and an additional third party. The additional third party we won't mention because that's another sort of layer to the whole thing. It's a sort of a betting company, and the prevalence of betting companies within not just sports but South African sports of late, it's becoming concerning. I mean, it was concerning to me from the jump, and I don't want to be puritanical. People could be watching this and saying, "Oh, of course, Mohammed doesn't approve of sports betting." Um, and it's not on religious reasons. It's because I did a statistics class in first year of university, and I can tell you, it's as much as we love football and rugby and I don't know what other sports one watches. Um, I really only have time for the first two. Um, it's like I play tennis, but I don't like watching it on TV that much. Uh, y- Statistically, you're just like handing your money away. And somebody like me who's grown up working class, I don't like wasting money. So, and also we have to think about the social effects gambling has on broader society. So there's that aspect. But back to the more focused on the rugby aspect, I think he will add value. I think next season the Stormers are getting Siya Kolisi, Wilco Low, um, Siya from the Sharks, and then Wilco Low from the Bulls, both returning players. And then the other aspect of Cheslin Kolbe is that I always rated him. I always thought he was really good. I thought he was like the natural successor to Hugh Aplon. I find it somewhat interesting that he wasn't necessarily that highly rated until he moved to France and played very well for Toulouse. The prior coaches didn't pick him. I don't think he was picked before he moved to France and played really well and then forced the hand of the coaches. The coach before Rassie Erasmus, Alistair Coetzee, I'm not certain about the timeline if Alistair actually picked Cheslin Kolbe. I know for certain that once Rassie Erasmus and his team, because it's not just the head coach, brought Cheslin Kolbe into the system as soon as they took over, he sort of flourished from there. I will say, as a player, he was always good at Western Province Stormers, like you say, in the Super Rugby era, but he did seem to grow as a player when he moved initially to Toulouse and then to Toulon and then moving over to play in Japan. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting for people such as myself and others in South Africa to be able to now have opportunity to see Cheslin Kolbe play live more often. Obviously, myself, Bryce, and Paul, and Lisa B, who reside within the Western Cape, Greater Western Cape, and/or City of Cape Town municipality, will have probably more opportunities to see Cheslin Kolbe play live because he'll play for the Stormers at Cape Town Stadium. But yeah, something
But
I
how many games
saw.
do you see him playing?
Yeah, that's true. I
Like
think
how
they'll
many?
manage. I think they'll manage him because I mean, if they're losing Dylan Mart, he's returned to the
The
Griquas and
ball.
now he's going to sign at the Bulls. They do have reasonable amount of depth. I do rate their young players, the players who played wing for them, like Cupido. Cupido's fantastic player. So yeah, we're going to see how things pan out. I completely concur with you as it relates to I think he'll manage his game time and the fact that he can play fullback really well. I mean, we're critical of the form of Warwick Haaland, but I've seen him play wing decently. So if you could put Colby at 15, Haaland on either one of the wings, that might negate some of the shortcomings Haaland has shown with lack of form. But yeah, any other aspects come to mind for you?
I'm happy that he's coming back. I'm just more concerned about basically everything I mentioned. Because I don't know, I think we are in a very, in terms of rugby wise, we're in a very particular place where we need to build squad depth so we can be more competitive in all the competitions that we are.
Mm.
But we have so many players that are stretched all around the world. Now, is it the plan that are we bringing them all back here for so our club teams get stronger? Is that the plan? Because now I'm just looking. You guys, Thomas signed Sia, Rukolo, and now Kolbe, right? I doubt those three will play. How many games are how many games are in the URC has like 18 games, Challenge Cup, Champions Cup, plus minus 6 games. Now, out of
And
all
those are
those
and
20,
those are just the regular season.
yeah, I'm just talking about like group stages. I'm not even talking
Mm.
about finals and everything. So we're talking about like 20, 24, 25 games, right? Out of those 25 games, how many times is Sia, Colby, and Vrukolo going to be on the field? I think they're gonna probably get them for like the most serious games, and the rest of the games is just gonna be playing the rest of the squad. So I'm saying if we're gonna be doing things like that, why not just keep them and let them retire? Like I'm not saying that we're throwing them away. I'm just saying it would be better for their livelihood to stay in Japan for longevity and stuff.
Mm. The other aspect is though is that I do follow Cheslin Kolbe on social media, and it's clear that he can't. His family does join him in Japan. I've not seen video footage of that, but whenever he's interacting with his wife and his three young children, they're always in their gated community here in Cape Town. And it seems like he spends a significant amount of time with them as soon as the Japanese season ends and just before the Springbok commitments start. Um, so there's that aspect as well. So it's very,
If
very
his wife,
nuanced. If
if
I'm,
his wife is asking him to move back, then I agree. Whatever the wife says is right.
yeah, happy wife, happy life. As someone who was born in Cape Town but moved with my parents to Mpumalanga for my dad's work reasons, I can concur that like being away from family and um, sort of your grandparents and your parents and then adjusting to a new environment and stuff like that, that can be challenging at times, and at times you might actually return to more familial grounds, even if it means sort of taking a pay cut and stuff like that. So there's so much to it. If he's trying to sort of at 32, and it's also what's also key is like the age of your kids at that moment. I mean, you want to be more attentive and more present in your children's lives. And then so there's many aspects. There's your home life, there's your physical body, there is your ambitions in terms of club rugby and your ambitions in terms of international rugby. So it's interesting. I anticipated that this would happen at some point, but yeah, like I said earlier, I really thought that this would actually pan out after the World Cup. So yeah, but like I think time with family, not just his immediate family, his wife and three children, but like broader family. I mean, we saw Jasper Visser talk about this when he left England. He was like, I I have a wife, I have a young child. I'd really like my child to grow up around their grandparents. Similar, this has happened numerous times, like a dozen times over the last few years. I can find him ever. He was Duan's younger brother, older brother, sorry, older, smaller brother. Even I made that mistake. I was watching an Edinburgh game where the Coms made that mistake. He when he returned from Sale Sharks to play for the Bulls, having sort of made his name at the Cheetahs and then moved to to the Natal Sharks and then Sale Sharks. In the articles explaining his return to South Africa, he was like, got a wife, got a kid. I'd really like my kid to grow up around their grandparents. So, numerous factors. I'm glad to have him back. And I think he's also a very mature rugby player. And this is the last thing I'll say is shout out to the town and or suburb in Cape Town of Kraaifontein, which produce like fantastic athletes. It's an area with a lot of social ills and a lot of socioeconomic problems. But incredible potential, athletic potential, and social potential, and not just athletes but academics and stuff. So they produced Cheslin Kolbe's cousin, Wade van Niekerk. Interestingly enough, they both attended the primary school of a friend of mine, also attended that primary school. So, yeah, shout out to Kraaifontein. Then, Mikosi, we move on to topic number two, which relates to what you mentioned earlier, the Baby Boks. The future is now. I was incredibly fortunate last week Thursday to actually watch the Baby Boks play live. Um, Let me get that up. At Rondebosch Boys High, by the way. Very nice. Um, uh, Secondary education institution. Um, and yeah, and the Baby Boks scored 96 points. They could easily have broken the 100-point barrier. Obviously, Moya was taking all the kicks, and some of the kicks were more challenging than others. So yeah, they took on Chile, the Chile under-20 team, under sort of beautiful conditions, under the shadow of Table Mountain. Check out, if you're watching this, check out the YouTube channel a bit later. We're clipping together some of the raw footage that I took that day into either a short or a longer video. So that look out for that. And yeah, they were obviously dominant against this Chilean team. Standout players like the whole team really. They would this excuse me. This is going to be a series of games, so this is the least challenging, shall we say, of the three. Uh, from what you were able to watch the game on YouTube, Temikosi, which are the standout players for you?
I think we're gonna have to start with Moyo. We have to Brits also. Uh, is it Gerrit? Gerrit, yeah, Gerrit Kemp. He also played really well, but for the most part, I was getting to a point. I'm like, this is a different team from the rugby championship, the under 20 championships. I'm like, we're getting to a point where we have so many kids that even this team feels different from that other one that played a few weeks back, and it was still this dominant. So I have to say they played really really well. I think the Chileans. I want to give them the first 5 minutes of the game. They tried to hold it back, but once that dam fell, they just South Africans just kept going and going and going. They couldn't stop it. So yeah, I think maybe this is. I'm also echoing this point. I'm like, we have so much talent. We're getting to a point we don't even know what to do with these kids anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the foreign teams were like doing intense research on all of our players, trying to figure out like, do they have a Welsh grandma? Do they have a Scottish cousins? Anything. Turn over no stone unturned. So, like as I was trying to say before, I got sort of like a coughing attack. I really appreciate.
HPC flu.
I I think I'm just knackered. But shout out to the other rugby content creator, what's his name? Rugby Krantz, because he, like myself, also did the Cape Town Marathon yesterday. I did reach out to him, and we're gonna have an in-person conversation about doing some collaborations. I didn't even know this dude was in Cape Town, and then I saw on his Instagram that he also did the Cape Town Marathon. So yeah, I digress. Fantastic Thursday at the Rondebosch Boys High. Very cold conditions. The comms for Supersport was in the grandstand, and he was like saying, "Oh, it's a nice sunny day in Cape Town." So that clear to me was either he wasn't there, he was just doing the comms from like Joburg, because sometimes they actually do that at Supersport. They just have somebody look at screens and do the comms from there instead of on site. But um, I believe he was there, if I'm not mistaken. But he was saying, "Oh, it's a nice sunny day in Cape Town." But whereas I watched the first half from the grandstand and the second half from the opposite stand, because I often like to do that. And then throughout actually the first half, I moved around a lot to get footage of the game from different aspects, and it was the sun might have been out, but it was cold. And as soon as the sun set and the game was over, and the players were interacting with the numerous kids, players and coaches, it was very cold. I'm glad I brought significant like hoodie and stuff. But yeah, standout players watching live, if we had to pick, because I mean it's just about the whole 23. Um, your current fullback, where we talk a lot about Ethan Adams breaking into the Lions team, Temikosi, but Felix was really good at fullback. Both wings, especially Lindsay Hansen, was really good. Vusi Moyo was super solid, considering um, like he just made his URC debut. So this was almost like, look, all respect to the Chilean under 20 team. Chile's national team isn't senior national team isn't considered a powerhouse. So this was a good sort of starting point for the Baby Boks. Um, and like you said, it's a significant rotation from the rugby championship. Because what was interesting is that the analysis that I saw from the New Zealand camp and New Zealand podcasts and New Zealand articles say having their rugby championship started off with a win, a loss, and then a draw, right? They defeated Australia, they lost to Argentina, massive surprise, and then they drew with South Africa. Their analysis was, we don't mind losing this rugby championship because we won it the first two times it existed. And then this time we went there with a 30 person squad and we tried to use the whole squad, right? Whereas they felt that the South Africans were just playing pretty much a lesser rotated squad. Their idea wasn't so much to give everybody a chance, but more to just finally win the rugby championship, which we did. But what's interesting is that we did do some rotation in the rugby championship, the under 20 rugby championship. For this game, there was significant rotation. And I read an article with Kevin Foote saying that's the idea. This game, the series of games, Chile tomorrow playing Fiji at Rondebosch Boys High. Hopefully, I'll be there. If you're watching this and you're also going to be there, get in the comments, and hopefully we can we can talk in person. Um, And then on Saturday, they're playing Georgia at Paul Ross Gymnasium in Stellenbosch. I intend to attend that as well. So the assistant coach told me they're going to go full strength on Saturday. So keep that in mind. Because I spoke to the assistant coach after the game. All the coaches and the players were interacting with the fans on the field. And then I asked like what type of rotation is going to happen because it's Thursday and the next game is Tuesday. And then they said, look, they'll rotate a bit more, but most articles actually indicated that some of the changes we'll see to the next game, which we'll actually bring up in a moment, are just pure rotation, give people a chance, and others are like the captain from this game who played really well, Koza. He unfortunately got hurt, and that's why he's rotated. I will say, I met a lot of because when you're in the stands, people will talk to you. I met a lot of the parents of the players from the South African team, so standout players. Like Altus Rabe had a fantastic game off the bench, scored a try, spoke to his dad. His dad and accomplished number 7 in his own right. So shout out to him. Um, and thanks to him for subscribing to the Goal Guidelines. We appreciate it. Yeah. Kai Pratt is like we have to keep in mind that this is under 20, right? So all these guys are going to get bigger. But Kai Pratt was the biggest player in the whole team. It's like you see him on TV and you see him play like schools rugby, and then like he yeah is massive. And it was interesting that you said that Gert Kemp played well because he was actually like my man of the match from like watching it online, and that's sort of difficult to pick because I mean if you everybody pretty much played well, so I wouldn't say it was like a free hit. I think it's going to be a sterner test against Fiji. I did also watch the Fiji versus Georgia game. Georgia eventually won. Fiji were a little more was slightly more erratic than Georgia. Georgia more clinical, that type of thing. Also, the Georgian, I sat in the second half of that game, I sat quite close to the Georgian bench, and the Georgian coaching staff were like screaming their lungs out and stuff like that. Also, they were standing up every time, so we couldn't see the game, so we had to stand a bit higher, that type of thing. So, yeah, I think because let's look at that team that they're picking for tomorrow's game against Fiji. Loan Hillemir is back. Felix is on the bench. Anything else stand out to you?
Well, again, it's a totally different team from the one we're just reviewing. I mean, if we remove Vusi and who's there, I think the back line is, yeah, and even the wings actually, look, the whole back line is different, except for
Mm.
Vusi. So, yeah, like we're getting to a point where there's a lot of these kids. I don't even know what we're going to do with them, but could we do something where we charge other nations for giving them new rugby? I don't know, like charge them rent or something.
Like to loan out our junior rugby phenoms because we have a lot. So yeah,
No,
with
we can even borrow your national team. Like we just like we'll give you like a 5-year contract. You can use this player because clearly we don't have space and you
Mhm.
do. So we'll give you like this 5 years. Um, if he wins a World Cup, he wins what, we want our royalties back. But yeah, no, I'm expecting it to be again, especially now that I'm thinking because I also saw the Georgia and Fiji game. And if Fiji are gonna play like they played in the Georgia game, they're gonna get Murad. Like this is my thing with Fiji. You know, they are flying Fijians, but it seems like there's no like flight plan. They don't know where they're going. Everyone's just kind of like, you know what, when you get the ball, just run. If you can find someone on your left, pass them. If they're not, just go down. I really hope you know how Georgia plays, like how they know that their strength is strength and they are trying to capitalize on what they're good at first. Like they're good at the breakdown, they're good at holding you down. I wish someone would teach Fiji that, because if once Fiji learns the discipline side of rugby, that would be a complete team. And I felt like the junior Fijians are also playing the exact same way, where it's tantalizing, it's fun, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah. So this game kicks off at 3 o'clock tomorrow at the Rondebosch Boys High. Like I said, I'll be there. There is also a 1 o'clock game where Georgia take on Chile under 20. So obviously we favor Georgia to win that game. It's super interesting because Georgia senior rugby team is improving quite significantly, but the Fijian senior rugby team also has improved. They've never been bad, but they've got when they can pick their best players, especially at World Cups, with all those really good players they have in the French top 14, um, playing their trade
I
there.
haven't
There.
I have an unpopular opinion about Fiji. I think when Rasi retires from the Springboks, he should
Mm,
probably go and do a project there because he has all the players. I really want to see Fiji at their best because they
mm.
seem like a really powerful nation. It's just whatever is stopping them is stopping them. It's okay, looks political. So I'm not even going to go into it. But whatever is stopping them, I feel like we should give Rasi a chance to go. You know what? Go raise another team.
It would be an interesting experiment. Yeah, they've got there's so much to it. Like how many players do they have in Super Rugby? You follow Super Rugby closer than I do.
They have a lot. They even
Oh,
have
okay.
more in France, so you can imagine. Because then they have the whole Fiji draw in the Super Rugby. Then most of the best players is scattered around France.
Okay, so the two more interesting Super Rugby teams since I really stopped watching Super Rugby when South African teams departed it are the Drua and the Pacifica Moana,
Mona
right?
Pacific.
Um,
So
and-
Mona Pacific is supposed to be like Tonga and Samoa coming
mhm,
together to form one team based in New Zealand,
mhm,
whereas the Fijian Drawers are basically Fiji,
mm.
but they do play most of their games at home. But yeah, they do get to play in neutral venue. So between the two teams, I would say Mana Pacifica is dying. I think Mana Pacifica is dead.
Mm.
It's not going to be competing from next year, so they're moving from 11 teams to 10. Fiji, on the other hand, it has its days. It's one of those teams that it's like a Lions. If you're not prepared, if you're not, I don't want to say, not prepared. Like on a good day, they can beat you, but most of the time you can beat them. So maybe not comparable with the Lions, but yeah, they're just that type of a team.
Yeah, I appreciate the insight, Nemikosi, and I'm also take this opportunity to say how sad I was that we couldn't get the Super Rugby podcast off the ground before the start of Super Rugby. But like I said, you can't blame me for that. I tried my best to assist where I could. I wasn't like heavily involved. I was just like, hey, because he's got the insight. Um, but like I said, yeah, once we left Super Rugby, there's only so much time, unfortunately. So yeah, Fiji. So they've got a Super Rugby team, and then they've got a ton of really, really good players playing, mostly in the French league, but across Europe really. It's giving very Jaguares, Demikosi, and I really liked the Jaguares when they started there, but I understand that the system that Argentina has now with their players spread across nations actually kind of works better for Argentina. So there's no hard and fast rule and or solution for everybody. Although I think I just missed the Jaguares for many reasons, but the primary reasons was one, I just like saying Jaguares, and then two, their mascot was like such a cool looking mascot. Like fantastic. So like a tall Jaguar type thing. Kind of looked like Juan um Juan Martin the Jaguares mascot. Kind of looked like Juan Martin
Juan
Fernandez
Martin
Tin
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. Yeah. Yeah, the guy that used to play the fly off that used to play for who signed for the Sharks. Um but then got injured in his first game. Uh fly off. Oh, this is fantastic. If you're listening to this, Hernandez, yeah, yeah. Juan Martin Hernandez, yeah. Ah, man, that was so cool when we signed him, and then he got injured in his first game in like the second time he touched the ball. All right, so that is the Baby Boks, and there will be a third game, by the way, so we'll review that as well. But in fact, we'll probably do that pre on the preview show on Friday. Then we go see topic number three, Champions Cup. We didn't have a single dog in the fight in this game besides Carlos Sadi. But it was an interesting display of rugby considering I felt that Leinster could have put on more of a fight.
I don't know. Bordeaux just kind of took it away from them. Like, I know they scored first, but after that, it was kind of like, wow. It's like they had every answer that Leicester was trying to do. They were stopping their plays. They were intercepting their balls. Luku was pulling people's hair. Like, that was just a chaotic game. And I don't know. I think the scrum cap was kind of also working because I just saw Dewey Bilberry just doing, scrum cap magic things all over the field. There was some point where every time, like at the rock, it was Luku would get the ball, Louis would just be right there, just threatening, just hovering, just making sure it's there. Then when people start trying to go for him, then you just swing the ball and they stretch Leicester. So it was like a monster class. Like, I don't want to say this because it sounds bad, but it made Leicester look like amateurs. It made them feel like this was not like a championship game. It was like they were there. You know how the Bulls felt when Leicester won the URC? Kind of felt like that game where it was just like one team doing all the work. So shout out to Louis B, Damien Peno. Is it Mofana? Is it Mofana? I think Mofana is also in the same movie. Yeah,
Mm,
I,
in the
I have
midfield.
lots of praises for
Yeah,
the
very good
Bordeaux teams and the
Bordeaux
Leicester
team. I
team.
mean, um, oh wow. Yeah, we'll start with the praise for Bordeaux. Um, yeah, Carlos Sadi had a solid game starting at number three, came off in the 48th minute. But yeah, Luku, it's kind of crazy that I mean South Africa has incredible depth, and we often say France are the closest to South Africa, or maybe they might even have slightly better depth, depending on your perspective.
Mm.
But the fact that they've got Dupont as well as Jason Statham lookalike Maxine Luku, and people underestimating Luku, saying, "Oh well, he's no Dupont." Well, um, he's not a bad player either. This whole like thing that we do within sports of like either somebody's like the greatest of all time, all their shit. It's so reductive. It's always like we build a young player up, and as soon as they have two, three bad games, oh, they were never any good at all. That's why we tend to steer away from bad faith arguments as it relates to players on this YouTube channel, where we just like throw people away and say, oh, well, clearly you had three bad games. That means you were never really that good to begin with. So, like Bordeaux, two in a row in the Champions Cup, which is like the Champions League of rugby. Um, I know our colleague Jean said, "Oh, last season they didn't do the double, but this season they're going to try and do the double." Because Toulouse still won the league, the top 14 last season. But maybe Jean meant like Bordeaux winning two Champions Cups back to back. So yeah, the Bordeaux very much still in the running for top 14, and they were very yeah they they were so clinical in the first half, and they built up such a lead that they could make sort of, and they did very much make a lot of silly mistakes in the second half, but their mistakes and Leinster sort of getting back into the game just wasn't enough for Leinster to make it competitive. And as it relates to Leinster, any players, look, this is a stacked team. I expected more. I didn't. Dan Sheehan wasn't that good. Joe McCarthy had a few moments. Yes, he did score the try. Um, was somewhat fortunate that they pulled his mullet. Is everybody going to start growing a mullet as to make use of that sort of loophole? Harry Burns, iffy game to be honest. Rico Ioane had an okay game, but the problem is when you sign an All Black who's clearly regressing, you expect more. Hugo Keenan for me at a quiet game. Callagher is not the impact that one needs. Yeah. Frawley, Kieran Frawley, everybody's saying he had a good game. I think he did as well. Jamie Osborne came on the 50th minute. He's a solid player. I thought he did what he could. Dermot Mangan and Deegan off the bench. Mangan's only there because Erge Snyman is injured. Yeah, that's like a marquee signing for them. But we do also have to acknowledge the fact that the budgets that Finnish teams work with are the biggest of anything in club rugby, especially the prominent French teams. So that is a factor. And whereas Leinster might have one or two marquee players within the Irish setup, as well as bringing in an All Black, this Bordeaux team is stacked, but they're not just stacked for the fun of it. They also have like homegrown players like Louis Biabere. They moved Damien Penaud, who's been dropped of late by the French team, to outside centre, and he did reasonably well. Off the bench, Big Ben Orfana played well, two turnovers. Yeah, they that first half of Bordeaux is prime Bordeaux. And then afterwards, they were just like, look, let's manage this game. We've got two more league fixtures in the top 14, and then we go into the top 14 playoffs. Last season, we didn't do the double. We didn't get the league and the cup and the Champions League and the Champions Cup. We only got the Champions Cup. Let's try and go for greatness and get both. So, and obviously, one has to also acknowledge that former Sharks assistant coach Yannick Brou is head coach at Bordeaux. Interesting surname, considering the context of South African rugby, that his surname is Brou. And then on Friday night, a different French team beat a different Irish team. Demikose.
Yeah, I actually didn't get to watch this one. I only saw the highlights, but it seemed like it was kind of like the same thing that was happening on the other game. The only difference is that at least Leicester was fighting a little bit back. I mean, Ulster were fighting a little bit back on this one, but it seems like once they also got stretched, I think the problem with Ulster that I saw was that they were committing a lot of people on the ruck. That made them easy for them to be stretched at the corner where they just, I mean, Montpellier just swings the ball up to the person, whoever's flanking at the wing, and that's how they scored most of their goals. If it wasn't for that, they were making sure they were going down the first route, going in until Leicester, I mean, until Ulster committed too many players, then there's like a hole, then someone like the scrummer takes that chance. But yeah, I'm starting to think that this Challenger or Championship Cup is just meant for France. It has to be meant for France. Maybe it's because they have a bigger budget and they can work with bigger squads.
I mean, that might also tie into what we spoke about in topic number one. If South African teams are bringing in some of the more senior players, which is what Jake White sort of mentioned. Not that Jake White doesn't have his faults as well. I don't always agree with everything Jake White says, and or does, because sometimes he's just doing it for the crack or to subvert expectations and stuff. But I would love for a South African team to be successful in this tournament. There's obviously speculation that we might depart it entirely for player welfare in terms of not playing that many games. I prefer we stayed in the tournament and just used our budget or expanded the budget to allow for more players, because we do have a lot of and most players actually grow when they go overseas. So what I was trying to say earlier is we do have a lot of players, but it might be beneficial for us to like rotate players and sort of communicate with them and say, look, you're really good, you're 23, but maybe there isn't space for you in the team right now. How about you go overseas, either to Europe or Japan for a few seasons, grow as a player? Because I mean, Stormers have been missing Johan Ackerman's son, Rowan Ackerman, for most of the season, and he's a player who departed the Lions, your team, played in England for a few years. And yes, the English league isn't necessarily the best league, but he grew as a player and he's come back as a more effective loose forward. So yeah, as it relates to Ulster, as much as we praise John O'Trochis Augustus, and I maintain that I would have preferred he joined the Sharks instead of Ulster. And I'm always open to the idea of him joining the Sharks at some point, although I suspect, and people can refer back to this podcast a few years later, I suspect he will do the same thing as Cheslin Kolbe and return to Cape Town. Certain players are just a part of the community. Cheslin Kolbe grew up in Cape Town, so it made sense for him to return South Africa to Cape Town. And the same thing with Trukis Augustus. But yeah, he wasn't as effective as I had hoped in this game. We're obviously rooting for the underdogs in this game. I was really rooting for Ulster for many, many reasons. They are a really plucky underdog team, but it also would have been nice to see Connacht not get Champions Cup rugby, because if Ulster had won, they would have usurped Connacht into Champions Cup rugby, unless Connacht somehow won the URC, which Connacht's recent form isn't necessarily as far-fetched as one might think. It's not a
It's
certainty, but
possible.
it's not impossible. Yeah. So yeah, Jude Postlewaite was pretty good. Balakun, I rate. He had a very good try. Mike Lowry, Mike Lowry, the guy who the Sharks started to murder earlier this season because they were just like they kept they kept tip tackling him. Like it's all about PP and Vincent did it to him. So yeah, that was ill disciplined on our point. Um, any players stand out for you from Montpellier? I believe Villapola played well. Alec Price played the whole game. He's a British and Irish Lions. Tom Banks. I mean, there's a lot to be said about these Montpellier players as it relates to their indiscretions off the field. But overall, they're a good team, and they're also very much in the running for to win the top 14 in France.
Yeah, they
All
are a
right.
pretty good team. Like I said, I didn't actually watch this match. I just saw the highlights. So, plus, I'm not familiar with a lot of Montpellier's players, but from what I saw, they played really well. I thought I saw there's someone that is from, did they say Cameroon? Is it Cameroon or Congo Republic that scored a try? So that's interesting. It's interesting to see that when they build a team, well, I mean the French teams in particular. I just like how they build teams for like championships, and they don't necessarily focus on breeding. I'm not saying they don't breed their local players, but they don't necessarily focus on breeding players. They focus on clubs also winning, and I think maybe that's the difference between the Irish, where the Irish, at the end of the day, they are just developing their players. They would rather Nathan Doak start than having bought someone, let's say like from the Klerk come in and have him play that game because they are more interested in training Nathan Doak to actually be a competent player. Where in France, it's more of whoever can get to win us that game starts. So I think maybe that's
Yeah.
like the two different, maybe that's like the two different thoughts of the school. And if we are looking for conspiracy theories, I have one for you guys. I don't know. South Africans ever since joined the URC, Leicester's not winning the championship. Is there a correlation? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I think not.
Yeah, so it's super nuanced because the Irish system is four unions and then club rugby beneath it, whereas in France they have just club rugby. So they've actually got relegation out of the top 14 into the Pro D2, where many South African players is playing their trade. Shout out to Sharks and Stormers legend Sikambozo Noche. Um, so like yeah, France rugby is sort of benefiting from France being a very diverse diaspora, um, very similar to how French football is benefiting. And there are differences though, because like the French football league, League One is a shambles. It's legitimately a farmers league. In football terms, yes, their teams can get a result here and there in
About
the
to have two championships
Europa League.
leagues.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I mean, like PSG is just full on dominating there. Although some teams one or twice do something here and there, maybe win the league randomly one season, and then their team just gets stripped of their stars and they have to start over back to a mid-table team, either by PSG or like teams from other leagues and stuff like that, because EPL teams can get them on the cheap. But yeah, France very much like they've got the depth, they're investing in the right players. Um, like Lenny Nucci, he played super well and he's super young. This Montpellier team doesn't have as many standout players as say a Bordeaux, Toulouse, or Toulon, but they're really, really good. And then it's just some of their players stand out for the wrong reasons. But we have to sort of also acknowledge the fact that they are a force. They're almost a Champions Cup team in the challenge that just mistakenly found themselves in the Champions Cup, in the Challenge Cup, I'll also say. So congratulations to them and hard luck, Ulster. Ulster are now back in the Challenge Cup next season. Speaking of finals, the Pumas pulled off an upset when they defeated Suzuki Griquas in Kimberley with a last-minute Danrik Versace penalty goal. Victoria's 38 to 35. Demikosi, we have the result. I'll show you the teams. Um, Pretty much a full strength as you can get Griquas team. Uh, Defeated by the Pumas. This is a repeat of last year's final, just at a different venue. Um, Last year it was at the Pumas home ground in Mbombela. The Pumas were losing a bunch of players to overseas teams and to other South African teams because it's like a step up to other South African unions. And the weird thing is that I've noticed that a lot of players go Griffins, Griquas, Pumas, then either Stormers or overseas or Bulls and that type of thing. So like Dylan Mart, he's signed with the Bulls. We mentioned that earlier. What's also interesting is Sako Makata actually started at the Griquas, moved to VP, didn't really get much opportunity, and then returned to the Griquas. So, Demikosi, your thoughts on the Pumas winning away this season?
I think it's good for them to find the win. They won it the most South African way possible with a penalty kick. It has won World Cups, so it can also win like an SA Cup. So it's good to see that this is where they practice winning cups with like a penalty. Guys, be taking notes. You should be taking notes. But yeah, I didn't actually watch this game. My weekend was kind of like all over the place. But for the fact that the Pumas were able to win away from home shows that they probably wanted it more. And you're just looking at the score. If the last minute penalty would decide in the match, that means that up until that point the match was even, and it was probably came down to who made the mistake first and who capitalized on it. So shout out to the Pumas. hopefully they can take this. They can take this momentum. I think they had a perfect season, right? Is it them that they won every game, right? I think Griquas eventually lost to the Cheetahs, and Pumas had like no, Pumas lost to the Griquas. Yeah, Pumas
Yeah.
lost to the Griquas.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Pumas didn't have a perfect season. The reason why Griquas were like favorites in this game, because the Pumas are a good team. The Pumas were the Griquas a season ago. The Griquas just overtook them somewhat, just slightly, by winning the Currie Cup. So the the Griquas became, as I was saying before, the technology um, let us down there for a moment. Um, the Pumas were the dominant non-South African uh, franchise.
Franchise.
So the franchises are Lions, Bulls, Sharks, Stormers, right? But the Pumas were the best of the rest for at least 2.5 seasons. The Griquas built themselves up, and by winning the Currie Cup, they effectively became the best of the rest. And then these two teams are started to like vie with each other. Because if we look at the Griquas team, it is stacked. Cameron
Mm.
Hofke at fullback, Dylan Maat going to the Bulls at wing. Zane Best is a really good player. Zwelendaba is a fantastic inside center. Sako Makata on the other wing. George Whitehead. Bobby Alexander, underrated player. Carl Else. Anyway, uh, Mpufu at lock, he's really good. Leon Lyons, he's got franchise experience with the Stormers. On the bench, they've got Liam Kun, 20-year-old fly half that they got from the Bulls more recently. They got Connor Mahoney, Black Irish on the bench. Shout out to Hopefield Rugby. I believe I'm told by the people at Hopefield Rugby, Connor Mahoney's dad used to play for them. But the Pumas also got really really good players. They got Sango Kamlashe, Tino, Swanepoel, Clinton Swart played for the Stormers in this season's URC. And I play Willie Engelbrecht, lots of first class experience. Willie Engelbrecht might not be test experience, but he played a lot for he played for the Bulls as well as the Stormers. If definitely more recently the Stormers. Roewald van der Merwe, he's leaving for Glasgow, so that's a solid player. JJ Skeppers played for the Sharks as well. More recently, he was loaned by the Pumas to the Sharks throughout the season, so he actually did play URC this season. And Navaldo Floors, Thembinkosi, you'd remember from his time at Varsity Cup. Um, he was quite dominant. It was like a Varsity Cup star, but unfortunately, since he moved into senior rugby, he hasn't necessarily kicked on that much. So these are the two best teams in the South African system outside of the franchise system, and it's really interesting to see how they actually perform in the Currie Cup because this SA Cup is their focus until it's resolved, and they have a significant time to actually prepare for the Currie Cup. And we saw Griquas win the Currie Cup, we've seen Pumas win the Currie Cup, we've seen the Cheetahs win the Currie Cup more recently as well. Unfortunately, the Cheetahs have regressed, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how both the Pumas and the Cheetahs rebuild now because they're both losing a lot of players to the franchises and overseas. The only question is that there's not clarity on when each player is going to leave exactly. So I think the teams that they're going to would prefer that they not play Currie Cup for the Griquas and the Pumas. They come into preseason. So like the one player that's leaving for Glasgow, I think it's to his benefit that he sort of moves on from the Pumas immediately and actually has preseason. But we don't know the state of the contracts and who got bought out and that happening. Because I mean we did see this with Bato Klakane, where he actually played for the Stormers this season. Sorry, he played for the Sharks this season up until the last day in December. And then he was able to play for the Lions, and now he's playing for the Lions. So that is something, a mid-season move is actually possible within the rugby context. Demikosi, your final thoughts?
I think they should probably move during like before the Currie Cup. I think it will help with them adjusting if they are playing if you're gonna move from the Pumas to the let's say the Sharks. I'd rather move you during the Currie Cup, so at least even if you're gonna play that tournament, you have a little bit of the structure of how this new team is before you move into the URC. But oh, and one thing I wanted to mention when you were speaking, I once saw an interview where they interviewed the Griquas coach. He was saying that he wants Griquas to be the type of team that if you're here, you're not here forever. You're not coming here to retire. You're basically here waiting to go somewhere else. And I'm just by looking by everything that you are talking now, half of the team is going. So I think he's doing a very good job. He was talking about how he doesn't want players to be stay at the Griquas. Not saying that he doesn't want them there. He just wants them to be. This is kind of like your platform for future endeavors. Like if you do well here, you're gone for better pastures.
Yeah. And then like Dylan Schoblom, you end up with the Lions. It's so weird that Schoblom left the Griquas and then they won the Currie Cup against the Lions. It's just like timing is everything. Anyway, until next week, from myself and Temikosi, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Get in the comments and tell us if you're going to be at any of the Baby Boks teams either tomorrow or on Saturday at
On Saturday.
tomorrow Wynberg Boys High, or Saturday at Paul Gym Gymnasium in Stellenbosch. Yeah, and reach out and we can have a conversation and talk about rugby in person. From myself and Demikosi, until next week, in the Nasi, we trust.